A very good evening, afternoon, and morning to all of you. It's been quite a while since I have hosted any workshop. I think after 2 months, I'm hosting a workshop, and Afif has been taking care of all the workshops in the past. Thank you, Afif, for that. So here we are again with this particular week's workshop, and the same old me. Also, like before we even start, we are very happy to let you know that ProApp is a family of 100k plus designers on Play Store right now. Okay, let's start. I'm going to introduce myself and then we're going to move to Nitin. So I'm Rashika, the CMO at ProApp. I also lead the content team over here. Today we have a very special guest, Nitin. Nitin is a human-centered designer. He considers empathy to be the pillar of the new design thinking approach he uses to build products in his day-to-day life. He's currently working as a UX lead at Penny Software. So I think without any further ado, let's move to Nitin. And if you have any questions throughout the entire journey, you know where to comment in the Q&A section, and we'll take all the questions towards the end of the workshop. Over to you, Nitin.
Hope everyone is fine and safe at their home. I welcome all of you. It's been a pleasure with all of you connecting and sharing my experience, sharing my knowledge. So, yeah, I mean, of course, it's 8 p.m. and it must be hectic the whole day for everyone. So, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Nitin Mahajan. I have a design degree, from National Institute of Design, which is one of the topmost college in India. They are known for their design process and their innovation, and that is why I decided to go there, because I was always passionate about process and innovation. So that's about my educational background. I'm working as a product lead at Penny Software, in the digital product. But apart from that, I have love about innovating physical products, doing some experiments and all that stuff. Okay, anyways, let's start. Okay, so I want to know what you guys think about this picture or a visual when you see it. So the life starts, the day starts, and I would say that's where design also starts. But first, let's get to know what you guys think about all of the what you see in front of your screen. I would expect replies here. Okay, I've got one. Empty carton. TerraPack. Okay, good. Guys, please be quick. We have less time. Milk box. Someone said a milk box. How did you get that it's a milk box? Okay, that's a pretty much non-branded carton. Okay, that's another one. That's a good one. Rendered TerraPack. Okay, now let's go ahead. What about now? Now what it is? Jukes box, kind of colorful cartoon. Okay. A TerraPack with modern art. Okay. Cool. Colored milk box. There is another one who says colored milk box. Okay. Now what do you think, guys? It's a Tetra Pak for milk. Okay. But if you go back, like here, you're not getting anything. There was some, because it's very familiar that everyone gets the milk in TerraPack. It was easy to understand. But in usual case, this doesn't give you any idea what exactly it is. Here it gives you a bit of idea that there is some design, it is for something, it is for colors, or abstract color paint or something like that. But here, because the communication is so clear, that's when you guys are, someone is saying it's definitely milk. That's when you get an idea, because the communication is so clear. You see a buffalo here, you see there is milk written, there is some content that is there, and there are some colors which are not significantly related to milk, but still they are there. So the communication is clear. And why it is clear? It's because of design. So that's where it starts, right? Your whole day starts with the design. So if design is not there, how can you understand things which are related? How can you communicate with the society or the system that we have, the ecosystem that we have? So design plays a very important role in our life, uh, specifically, daily life, where we interact with everything. I think design plays a very important role there. So let's discuss what's going on around the world. So we see there is temperature rising, uh, green gases, all these problems, climate change, and because of the petrol, also petrol rises. Their petrol prices are rising, and we see this another problem, which is pollution, air pollution, which is a huge problem, which we are noticing right now in the society. So if you see what exactly this air pollution is, it's a problem, right? And again, this increase in the price of petrol or diesel or these oils, it's also a problem for human being in India, not just in India but other countries also, because if it is increases, it's really hard to maintain your daily lifestyle and spend good money on your daily needs. So definitely both things are becoming a problem. So an innovator, or someone like Elon Musk came ahead and he created electronic car, right? Which is what solution to what? To balance, to improve the lifestyle, to save us from the pollution, because pollution is not just affecting us, it's affecting the whole nature, it's affecting the whole ecosystem. And if the whole ecosystem, I mean, it's affecting small part of our ecosystem, and that's affecting the whole ecosystem in a very huge manner, I would say. So what he started doing is he started balancing the things, uh, by innovating the electronic car, right? Now what is this? Now, since everyone is trying to get into electronic cars, uh, there is a need which has to be satisfied, right? So the need is, we need to have more electricity. And how can we generate that? So before, we have uh, traditional ways to generate, we had renewable ways, but again there are a couple of ways that they generate. This is the best way that they found, that you can just, within a in a sustainable way, you can generate energy. And of course it requires maintenance, but in the longer term, this is the best way, without affecting the whole nature and the ecosystem that they have. So what is this? This is basically a technology that is being, that has been developed to solve that need, right, by engineers, of course. And this is what, this is our ecosystem, where we have, I apologize for the image that is blurred. So the ecosystem consists of everything that we have, like animals, human system, and then whatnot elements that it has. And there are subsystems in that. So Give me a second. Okay, so we also have subsystems inside the system. So human ecosystem is also one of the systems. We have water system, we have the land system, we have animal and all these subsystems that we have. So those are systems and subsystems. And why we are here on the planet? We are here, I mean, our brain is designed for survival. So what we need to survive, we need air, we need sleep, we need food, we need clothing, we need safety. So these are all survival things that we need for our daily life. If there is no food, you can't survive for a longer time. If there is no water, you'll die very quickly. If there is no shelter, it will be really hard for you to, stay alive. If there is no air, definitely you can't get. I mean, rather than saying no air, I would say no pure air. If there is no enough pure air, you won't be able to get the oxygen, and it will be really hard for you to breathe. So all these things are really necessary to survive in our daily life. So this is where it comes, and that's where design takes a huge part. So design is a process to solve a problem. So what we saw, the climate change, the air pollution was a problem, or there is a need to solve that problem. There is a need that we need to come up with something which can reduce the air pollution, or which can completely demolish the air pollution, so that we can have good air, right? So sorry. So there is a need, right? Using technology. So what technology are we using here? We are using solar technology. Like that, we are using different technologies to generate electricity, right? To balance. So let's go back again. Design is a process to solve a problem or to satisfy a need using technology to balance, improve, and save. I would focus on the balance word, because whenever we try to improve on something, we mess up, right? And whenever we try to save something, we again mess up. So rather than saying improve or save, I would say balance. We try to balance, even though it messes here, there, something, but we try to balance it. We try to balance the ecosystem so that we can survive on the planet. So to balance, improve, or save the ecosystem and its subsystems. So basically, ecosystem is a very huge word. It impacts, later, but the subsystems and their subsystems and their microsystems, they get impacted very quickly. So because we are connected to them in a very, we are closely connected to the microsystem or to the subsystems of subsystems and the ecosystem, right? So design is a process to solve a problem or to satisfy a need using technology to balance, improve, and save the ecosystem, its subsystems, and to survive in that ecosystem, right? So why everything is happening? Why we are doing all of this? Because we want to live, we want to survive. Of course, there are people who has different visions, like Elon Musk, he want to go on Mars. But the major thing that we do, like the basic thing is to survive. Survive on the planet. Our brain is designed in a way that survival comes first. So again, let's come back and let's complete the whole. I wouldn't say it's a definition of design. I would say that is how I define the design, because it's my perspective, it's my perception about design. So design is a process to solve a problem or to satisfy a need using technology to balance, improve, and save the ecosystem, its subsystems, and to survive in it. Doesn't matter whether that is a human being or other animals, or because when we say subsystems, there are a lot of things in it, right? Let's move ahead. So what's the first ever design innovation that has happened? I again want your answers on that. So what's the first ever design innovation that has happened in the history of our planet, I would say? I would wait. So let's wait for a minute. Why don't you guys think about it and, come back? I think most of you guys has seen my PPT slide. Yeah, that's correct. This is the first ever innovation that has happened in the human history. I mean, that is what is written in the history. And then since then, this dude has never stopped innovating things and making life better. So what he says is, dude, I never had a design degree, but still I innovated. Isn't it funny? Definitely it's not funny. It's true. So he never had a design degree, but there was a need. There was a problem. Why this innovation, or why he invented this wheel? Because there was a need of transportation from one place to another place, right? And it's not a very big innovation. He didn't use computers, or he didn't use mobiles, or he didn't use code or anything to create it, right? It's a very simple innovation. It's a circular, I mean, the carving of stone in a circular way, in a wheel. We call it wheel, right? And the process that he used to do that is by stone itself, right? So there were stones, there were horns that he used to carve the stone, or to make it in a circular form, right? So this is what the technique that he has used, right? And that is how I would say the innovation started. That is how the design started. I mean, we don't really recognize in our daily life, but there are a lot of things that we do which end up being a design solution. I mean, there are a lot of different terms for design. Not everyone is designer. There is again a question, that is everyone a designer again, or everyone is not a designer? So there is a very huge debate that can happen on the same that topic. So I mean, the whole point is, it started very soon, that we haven't even realized that design is there since the human existence is there. This is in the human history, but nature itself is a design, right? If you see everything which is present in nature and which is present in human body also, they are designed in a very beautiful manner. They are designed in a way that everything is helping each other to survive on the planet, right? So if you see the food system designed in a way that everyone is, dependent on every other system. I mean, I would say subsystems. So that's how it is designed. It's also a design, right? Design in a system. Now, everyone says design, design, design. Now, this is a huge question that goes everywhere. What is good design? What is bad design, right? We understood that what is design, but now let's say if everyone is design, this design is a good design, or it's a bad design. So I think let's see what good design is. So what they say is, design is one of the most powerful force in our life, whether or not we are aware of it. This is a very, very important thing that we need to understand. Very important word, whether we are aware of it or we are not. But it's the most powerful force, one of the most powerful force, I would say, right? And it can also be inspiring, empowering, and enlightening. Definitely. So whenever we see something, it inspires us to do something, right? Whenever we see a problem, it inspires us to do something. And whenever we see a good design, it empowers us, it enlightens us. Good design is so much more than that creating good looking product, which is true, right? It's not just about creating a good looking product, or so there is a good say that Steve Jobs has: design is not how it looks like or feels like, design is how it works. And that's true. If he has designed an iPhone and if you're not able to use it, then what's the point of designing it, right? So it's not just about look and feel, it's about how it works. Is it really useful to you in your daily life, right? Because that's life, right? Every day we don't jump into one year to another year, right? To complete that year, we need to spend time every day, right? Every hour, and that counts, right? So everyday life is more important than saying, just life or design. So what they say here is design influences what we think, the way what we feel, the way the decisions that we make. And it's true. Like, are most of our decisions based on the design that we have. So let's say you go to buy something, right? Then most of your decisions are driven by the design that it has. So um, let's say you want to buy a phone, which is a very generic case that we have. Or let's take a very basic example of COVID. So when it was COVID, so the basic need was to protect our mouth, right? That was the basic need. So everyone started using face mask, to protect their mouth, and stop spreading the viruses, right? But then things started changing. Like, people started facing problems with the mask, with the regular mask. So new mask came in the market. So, and again, people started buying them. So there were other different types of masks that we were buying, we still are buying. And again, the innovation that was driving the decision, the design innovation that was driving the decision for us to make, that what mask we should buy, or in other case, what phone you should buy, what feature it has, it is good looking, what camera it has, what is the camera aperture it has, or because it's your need that everyone wants to take selfies. That's why the front camera came in place, right? And that is how also we make the decisions to buy something. Going ahead, now we had one more thing. I mean, so there is a topic that we have, that we say everyone is a designer, yes or no. Again, it's a debate, but I would say, I mean, in a simple word, good designer get married to the user's problem. Rather than saying user problem, we should say problems, because uh, I mean, a problem can be solved, specifically not users problem, because when we say users, it becomes specifical digital, right? So let's say a good designer get married to the problems, and not the his own solution. Because what used to happen is, when I was working, so it's not just my story, but it's everyone's story, that when you work, you kind of think that your design is the best design. You fall in love with it, but that's not how it should work. It should be whether this design is solving the user's problem or not. Whether, if you're designing a communication, most of the graphic designer designs something, but if that graphic is not solving the problem for the user to communicate, then what's the point of designing that graphic, right? If you're an illustrator, if you're designing an illustration, whether it is solving the problem of communication or not, if you're designing a product, the product is useful or not, it is usable or not, it's accessible or not. So all these things that you have to take into consideration to be a good designer, right? So what is good design again? Good design is innovative, right? So there is something called creativity that everyone has, and everyone thinks in a different way. Everyone seeks that new point. I'm just not talking about the designer, I'm just talking in general. But to have a good design, the design has to be innovative. Not necessary always, but the good design is innovative design. It stands out from what other has and from what you have. Okay. So the possibilities for innovations are not by any means exhausted. Technological development is always offering a new opportunity, which is true. So the way technology is developing, it gives us a lot of new opportunities to kind of innovate things. And by technology, I don't mean only IT technology. There are different other technologies that we can use and we can innovate things. The another thing, good design makes product useful. Okay, so going back, good design is innovative. I see that what is the best approach to innovate new ideas? Okay, we have a question that what is the best? We'll take these questions later. I guess we still have half an hour to discuss. I mean, I'll present what I have, and then we will discuss. Okay, so good design is innovative. Now, this specific iPhone that I have taken is because I personally feel that at that time this was really an innovation, because everyone was using that phone. And Steve Jobs came. They started developing this new idea of having a phone with icons. Iconography got developed in that time. Typography had developed in that time. So these two things, so you see, iconography is a very small part of this design. In the whole design, the form that you see, the form has changed. Or else you used to have that holding phone, dialer phone. And then he came up with this design and approach. This phone was so useful that you could hold that in your own hand, and you can do all the operations, or all the tasks that you wanted to complete with a single use of your finger, which is thumb, right? So that was innovation, right? It's not something you have a very huge screens and then you want to use it. But it was a very specifically designed, very carefully designed. The user or the buyer was, or the customer was put in front, in the center, that what exactly is their need, right? This iconography is a very small part, but it's bringing a huge change in that time, I would say. So again, this is a good design because it is innovative. Good design makes product useful. As I say, right? This iPhone, you can hold it in hand, and only by thumb you can do all of actions or operations that you want to do, right? You don't have to use your another hand to do that. And that is why I think this product is so useful. It's not just dialing numbers, or it's not just using the topmost app that you have, on your top-notch camera that you have, near the top-notch camera that you have. The accessibility is so good here, right? The physical accessibility, I mean. Then the good design is aesthetic, of course. So if you compare the old phones and this new iPhone, smartphone, so that's why they call it smartphone. So if you compare both of them, you see aesthetic. When I was talking about iconography and typography, so that is why the aesthetic came in place. The whole new look was there, and people were so happy to see that whatever they are operating, they can see that. And visually it was so appealing, rather than taking a phone, dialing numbers, because there was only numbers. But this guy came up with iconography. This guy developed the new icons to represent what operations that you're going to perform, which was something new. And it was aesthetically so perfectly designed, pixel perfect, I would say. because this is a digital product, it was a pixel perfect design. The whole icon, the corners, the shape of icon, even though your thumb can reach there, the proper thumbprint can reach there, the size of the icon, everything. So aesthetically also it's so pleasing, useful there. Then good design makes product understandable. The whole reason that we are having only one example, because you should have all of these things. So when your design is good, you have all of these things, which is under. So another one is good design makes product understandable. And it's very obvious that whenever you take your iPhone in hand, you know what you have to do. In this case, I mean, in the today's scenario, in the 21st century, definitely there are a lot of different phones, smartphones that came in place, and you know what to do when you take your phone in hand, what operations that you want to do, and you directly go and you understand the product very well, right? So that is good design, is unobstructive, right? Which is one of the very important point. It's not more, it's not less, it's not very decorative, right? These icons that you see, there is something called enough of things. And in design, as a designer, we always do this mistake because we want to deliver something, but sometimes in that passion, what we do is we overdo, which I personally feel that I always used to do. As a designer, you always want to deliver something good, and in that process, you sometimes you end up delivering which is unnecessary. So you definitely should have this sense, or you definitely should put a goal in front of you that where to stop. You should have that understanding. When you design something, you should understand where to stop and where to start again, or if you are gone ahead, then how to come back. Because if something is very decorative, not a good design. If something is not up to the mark, not a good design. But since it has a sense of decoration as well, it's good in aesthetic as well, it's enough. And that's why it is a good design. Good design is honest, right? What they say, it does not make a product more innovative, powerful, or valuable than it really is. And that's true. Your design should be honest with your consumer, honest with your buyer, honest with your user, or honest with your target audience that you're designing for, right? So when you design something, you put a promise to it, you put a goal, or you put a mission to it, and that you should be honest with that mission, or you should be honest with whatever you have in mind as a mission or a vision for that product or for that target audience. And that honesty is a good design. Of course, it's long lasting. Good design is long lasting. So I mean, I'm not sure about this iPhone. This is long lasting in that sense. Now everyone changes their phones in 1 or 2 year max, because every 6 months you see a new variant in phone. But if you ask me, the fort that the Britishers has designed, or the not sorry, I mean, I apologize for that. The fort that our imperials they have designed, like Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, that they have designed the forts. They have designed in a way that they are long lasting, right? Now, because of the, I mean, it's been there since years, like more than 400, 500 years. Still, it's a long lasting thing, right? And still it's like that. So it's a good design. I mean, that's a good design example that I can give you here. Good design is thorough down to the last detail. Now, this is a perfect example. Apple is a perfect example of nitty-gritties and details, for details. Like you see, every icon or every action or every interaction that they have designed in their product, that's so perfect. Forget about the product. Think about their packaging. When you open the product, you have some sort of experience. That's really the experience that you don't get anywhere. Even if there is a competition, you don't get that experience till now. So the way they package their product is, you always have a carton. Inside that you have the packaging. You open the packaging. Their plastic wrapper is also packed in a way that you could very delicately open it. Then the voice that you hear when you open that iMac box, or you open that phone box, the voice that you hear, that's also an experience, right? So detailed things that they have, and that makes it a good design. Their packaging, everything, the design is a good design, because they have taken care of lot of small things, right? Now again, what they say is, good design is as little as possible. Yeah, that's true. It's not in random shapes, right? You see, yeah, someone says good design, minimalistic. That's what it means, right? So as little as possible. That means minimal. Like, you have something which is really important to show. You don't again overdo things. You don't show everything. It should be minimal. It should be pleasing in that sense. Like the minimalism approach, contemporary design minimalism approach that's going on. It's another good design that we have. Environment friendly. I mean, they say that they're reducing carbon footprint by thinking inside the box. They have reduced, but I mean, I don't have really a comment on that, but as an example, because they are claiming that good design is environment friendly in that sense, of course, and that's I think the most important point that we should consider when we design in from now, from in 20th century. We should definitely think this as a first point and not the last. Then there is one more principle that nobody really talks about, but I think this is also one of the principle which is important. The principle of giving back. So when you design something, it shouldn't be just simple or usable or minimalistic. It The design should be something which should be like a giving back to the society, for the societal good, the social good, I would say, right? So I think this is also one of the important thing that we should always take into consideration when we design something, because uh, you know like uh, if you take a daily example, so when we say give back, so you give back to everyone, right? Simple example, like when you fight, you just don't get hit, right? You hit back, so you give back. Or if someone comes and someone says good things about you, you give back, right? You say good things about him also. When on Diwali, when your sister comes and tie out you something, then you give her back something in terms of sweets, in terms of uh, all of these things. Like, so giving back is also a very much important point, right? In that way, what exactly are you giving back to the society, right? To make our society strong, what are we giving back? To make an impact in society, right? The social impact is so important. And today, the way we see that the social life, because everything has become like, on online platforms has given us a leverage that anyone can interact with anyone, and there is something social good which is happening. But what exactly that we also can contribute as a person, as a designer, that's also important. So as I said, make an impact, strengthen the communities, and share expertise. Of course, you're an expert in something, right? So there are some engineers in the society, there are some designers, there are some doctors. They definitely are sharing something. They definitely are contributing to the society. But apart from that, what exactly you are doing to enhance that, like to take a further step, to take a bigger impact, Like doctors, what they are doing, they are just doing their job. But apart from that, if what exactly you are doing to make it more impactful, right? So that's one of the important things that I wanted to highlight. Apart from those 10 principles that you follow to make your design good, that's fine. But the last principle, which the principle of giving back, is also the principle that we should always use, not just in design but everywhere. The giving back principle is a very important thing in design. Again, so design is something that we all take for granted on a daily basis. When we take the time to think about this, there is some question. Hey, I have a question. Well, Sanchit Bajaj, right? That's really an interesting question, and that everyone deals with every day. We'll talk about this. This is an interesting question, right? So, about the design of a product or a service becomes more effective, right? So, we don't need to take it for granted, right? When we want to design something, we should take time to think about it, and we should take time to understand the real problem, and then we should come up with a solution. Then again, profit and business and all those things, they're very secondary. If you solve the user problem, if the user is happy, then it's a win-win situation. It's a good design, right? Now this why is so important. If you want to design, why is so important, like why this is happening in our society, why people are suffering from mental illness, why there is a dispute in families, why we have air pollution in that way, what are the things that they are affecting, why this is happening, why is so important. When you get an answer for that why, you're already almost there, 50%, right? So whenever you do something, ask why are you doing this, or why it has to be done, or why it is not done yet, right? So that why is so important. So whenever you want to innovate, if you add that why to it, it's gonna become more and more and more good. Okay, so always keep in mind that whenever you design something, you always ask why to it. Be inclusive, as a designer, be inclusive always. I'm not saying in every situation there would be a case that you will have to be inclusive, but try to be inclusive, right? Because we are in the society, so most of the time what happens is we start neglecting people with disabilities. But as a designer, when we say we have empathy, we definitely should show that empathy in our design. We shouldn't just say that we are empathetic about the society that we have. So whenever we design, the design should be always inclusive. Not always, but I mean, when I say always, there would be scenarios that there might be situations where you might not be able to inclusive. So there you will have to manage, but always try to be inclusive in that sense, so that it's not just helping normal people, but it's helping the specially abled people also, and they should also enjoy their life in a more better manner, and that's what makes a good designer. So when you think about everyone, that's what stand you apart from other designers, right? And this is what design is. So when you design something, when you say human centered design, it should be inclusive, it should be accessible, it should be usable. There can be a lot of different diagrams that we can draw, but the basic thing is that we have understood in first few slides is when you design something, It should solve a problem. Okay, it should solve a problem. So when you solve a problem, you're definitely solving the the person's life or the user's life or the target audience's life, right? What it takes to be a designer. I would love to hear from all of you what it takes to be a designer. Guys, quick, what it takes to be a designer. What it takes to be a designer. Okay, creativity, creative mind, empathy. Okay, go on, please. Empathy of many things. Thinking the solution. Interest in it. Okay, empathy. Empathy. Okay. Perspective. Problem solving. Okay. Solving world problem. Solution oriented. Right? The right problem. Okay. Anything else? Let's take a minute. I want to understand what you guys think to be a good designer. Failing and learning to improve. Okay. Guys, come on. Okay. So what it takes to be a good designer, that everyone has answered things. So there is nothing called right and wrong answer here. Okay. Most of the answers are there. There was one answer. There was one answer called failing and learning to improve, which says the attitude. It talks about your attitude and specifically the right attitude. I'm not saying positive attitude. You can't be positive always. You should always consider the negative situations. As a designer, specifically, you most of the times you should consider the negative situations, but the right attitude to it, it, it it helps you to improve yourself. Whether you are generating empathy, whether you are finding that why, whether you are applying that design principles to your design, what not you're doing, you need to have that right attitude to look at things. Whether if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So that right attitude makes you a good designer. It makes you a designer. So that right attitude, it's all it takes to be a designer. Again, it's my perspective. Of course, it takes a lot of different things to be a designer in that specific manner. If you want to have a very specific speciality, if you want to be an architect, then you will need different specificities. If you want to be a graphic designer, if you want to be an interaction designer, you need a lot of different knowledge, skill set, and all of those things. But every designer or every specific field, what it needs is it needs a right attitude to look at things. Whenever you try to do something, it takes the right attitude, and that's what it takes. What you can design, well, this is all you can design. You can design anything. You can design experience, you can design fashion, you can design communication, you can design machines, you can design home, you can design retail, robots, websites. Depending on the skill set that you have, depending on the expertise that you have, you can always innovate. There is a framework for innovation. I think we won't be able to cover everything in this session, but I tried to cover as much as possible. But if we have later, we'll see if we can cover a lot of things, a lot of different things specifically. So if you ask, if you want to discuss on the design frameworks, if you want to discuss on future synthesis, how can you think about uh, 20 years later, what is going to happen 20 years later, or how you should start thinking from now to think about that 20-50 years later, how you can develop your product, or how you can develop your business strategy, or how can you create something which is going to helpful in next 20-50 years. which Elon Musk is doing. So that's something which is future synthesis that also we can do. So all these different things, every topic will take a separate session. We can cover that in 1 hour or 1.5 hours. But I mean, this all you can do. I think I would stop here because I think it's almost 9. It's 8:55. So let's start getting the questions. I will let you guys take the question till the time. There was one question from Sanchit. Let me take that question first. So he's saying, have you been in a situation when your manager and client does not get design? How did you manage it? Well, if you ask me, in company, your stakeholders are your first, users. You will have to always think about, see, give them a proper reasons, and you should be standing by your design, what you're doing. I'm not saying get obsessed with it. Whatever you're designing, be logical to it, answer every question, understand their perspective first, what they are trying to say. So when a manager, so there is a communication gap. There's always a communication gap, and that's what create problem. So when a brief comes from a CEO to the manager, or from the higher authority to a manager interprets it in his ways, because he has an expertise in managing things, not in designing things, right? So it's your responsibility to understand that first, and it starts all from there. It's not just you go and you show the design and he doesn't understand. No, it's not starting there. It starts where you get the brief. So it's your responsibility. If you're not understanding anything, go to your manager, sit with him, ask him hell amount of questions till the time you're not understanding the things, because it's really important. Because what happens is they are coming with their own brief, but there is other perspective also, the user's perspective also, right? So you have to equalize those business needs and the user problems. So all those, I mean, these two things should be on the same line. They should match. And if they match, then you have a very strong reasoning behind what you're designing, right? Then you just don't go and say the client that this is what I have designed, and because this is looking good, because my perspective is good about it, you should understand. But that's not how it works, because when a client is coming to you, or when a manager is coming to you, there is a budgeting happening behind it, right? There is money which is getting invested in it, right? And that's also one of the important part of the, when someone starts a business, they always have a budgeting to it. And if you're not matching those expectations, that means there is a conflict. So whenever you understand something, you understand, don't just with the user's perspective, understand with the business perspective also. So what is the business angle to it, and how can you solve that business problem? Aligning the user need to it, or user problem, solving the user problem. So that's really important. And I think if you go with all of these things, then I don't think there is a client or there is a manager who would who would disagree with you. I mean, this used to happen to me. I'll tell you my story. So when I was working as a visual designer in very early stage of my career, very early stage of my career. So I used to be like this, I had this problem of understanding, client's need. So I used to design with my way, but that was not enough. That is what I have learned. So it's not what you think. You're a designer, you're not an artist. That's the difference between an artist and a designer. So when you design, you should be designing for your user, for your clients, for your customers, for your, and not for yourself. If you're designing for yourself, you're not a designer. You, doesn't matter what it takes, you should always do a bit of research when you design something. And I think if you do this, this will solve your problem. And if it solves, then you can connect me on LinkedIn and tell me, please. I would love to hear that.
There was one more question,
Yeah.
Nitin. It was around, as in, how do you innovate onto new design ideas?
How do you innovate the new ideas?
New design ideas, right?
Well, that also has a framework. How to get new ideas? How to find new ideas? So there are two things to it, right? First thing is you do research, you understand, and let's since we are talking about everyday design, you should be a very keen observer. If you want to generate new ideas, first thing, you should be an observer. They say that if you want to be a speaker, first you should be a good listener. So if you want to be a designer, first you should be a good observer. So when you observe something, then you find a problem in it, right? Unless you don't get anything. So first start observing things in a designer's way, right? So I mean, I still remember when I was in my seventh grade. Uh, I used to be a design passionate since then. I mean, I used to like art and all that stuff. I was not really into deep design, the experience and all, but I was into drawing and everything. So there was I had a teacher, and he used to give my example to everyone that the way Nitin sees things, you might not be able to see, because as a designer, he always will have a different perspective. So when you say a corner of a wall, he might see in a different way. He might think that what can be innovative or what painting can happen there. He might see in different that way, or you might not be able to see that. So as a designer, you develop that point of view, if you develop that sense to see things. It's not going to get developed in 1 day or 2 days. It will take some time, right? So to develop that, you'll have to do something, right? To see things, to ask question, and that is why I said that why is so important. When you see something, you should ask why. That why is this? Why it is like this? Or if there is something, why it is not like this? See, there are products in the market that you can challenge, and they are designed by well-known and the best companies in the world. You see Apple products have a lot of flaws, right? That is why competition is coming. That is why Samsung is coming in the market. That is why they are competing to each other. That is why innovation is not there. Like, they are just upgrading. They don't have innovation. Like the way iPod came in place. Like, how iPod came in place? There were cassettes, there were CD players, there were cassettes, but you could listen very specific number of songs or music tracks in those cassettes. But when iPod came in, it was so tiny that you could fit in your jeans, and it has more number of songs than the cassette has. That's why I mean, marketing was the later part, but you see the point of view, you see the observation, you see how Steve Jobs took the point and then he started designing, right? It's not just he suddenly came and he started things. No, it takes a lot of research, lot of understanding, lot of empathy that has to go on. Empathy doesn't mean that you always, you should think about good things. No, think about what wrong is going on and how can you make it right. So that's why I say the right attitude to understand things makes you bringing new ideas. There are a lot of different frameworks to get new ideas, but those unique ideas that you can generate that nobody has in market, those will only come from the very meticulous observation. And that's what I would say. But if you want me to give you a framework, I would say don't take it from me. Go to internet, you will get a lot of frameworks that you can brainstorm and generate ideas. There was one question about being a housewife. How can I be the one pro in UX UI? Uh, see, uh,
And Nitin, I think you can stop sharing your screen, then you'll be able to connect better.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So home, like without doing internship or job or going outside in the house? Well, I think it's a very good move. As a housewife, you already have a lot of things, and you want to be good in UI UX. You want to be pro in UI UX. So I would say don't call it UX UI or UI UX, because both are the different terms. Uh, UX is specifically different. UI is different. Visual design is different, right? So UI comes in visual design. Let's talk about UX. If you want to be a UX designer at home, without doing internship or without going outside the house, definitely you can do. You can learn from internet. You can, or else you need a guidance. You can get a mentor, or you can learn from him. But there is always a thing that that touch, that professional touch that you get in market. Unless you have enough money to fund and start your own idea to the business level, because just having an idea and creating a design doesn't make you professional. If you want to launch it, if you want to market it, you need funds, you need guidance, you need that experience, and that experience comes from market learning. You're not going to get that in home. You can learn from someone else's experience, of course. You can have a lot of sessions, you can understand everyone, you can listen everyone, but you will only understand things by your own when you get into market and when you start experiencing things. So I would say you can learn a lot of things in UX UI. You can be pro, but if you want to be if you really want to learn the market ethics, if you want to understand that, you will have to have something the market touch, maybe an internship or something like that. You can have remote jobs if you want. You can sit now you can do anything sitting at your home. If you have a very good setup, you can work anywhere in the world. So that possibility is there if you don't want to go out of home. But I suggest do internship. Without internship, I don't think that will be possible.
So there was one more question, that what is your view on Amazon app design? They've not changed anything much in the app in years. Is it a good design?
I think they haven't changed most of the things, is because, see, there is a thing that when you design something, your user gets used to it, right? And when someone get used to it and you suddenly change that thing, then definitely there's a conflict in interest. You find it very hard to perceive. And as far as I see, the way Amazon app is changing, they are doing a lot of good changes in their app. So your question is, there are no much changes as such. And do you think that if that is a good design?
Right.
As far as I concern, if user is using it and user is liking it, of course it's a good design, right? And as far as I use it as a user, I find it very useful. There are some things that I don't find, but whenever I don't find it, I go to the help center. I place my question, and I think they have a helpline. So if you have that, there is a very clear communication which is happening, and that is why they are very slowly developing, because it's not a very small platform now. It's a multi-billion-dollar platform. So what happens is there is a lot of money behind it, and if you change it suddenly, if the user base goes somewhere else, because there is a lot of competition in the market and Amazon has their monopoly, right? And if they change everything suddenly, then what will happen is the user won't feel homely there. The way say ghar ka dukan, that they say, the some campaign they have ran back in the days, that they ghar ki dukan or something like that. So what that mean is, whatever you're using, it's your own, it's your that says that the users are very, yeah, someone said apni dukan. So that means that the user is so familiar to it that if you want to buy something, you can quickly finish that action in 3-4 seconds. You open the app, you go to the men's section. If you want to buy shirts for men, you go to the men's section, you go to the shirt section, you buy it simply. You navigate it, you buy it. So the user flow is so simple. And I think that you see that front end there might not be a lot of changes, but back end in the user flows there are definitely a lot of changes which are happening. And if you really want to observe that, you should definitely open that app once a day, and then you will observe that change, that how the user flows are changing. And that's what it makes it a good design, I think.
Right. So for the international people, apni dukaan means your own shop.
Oh, we also have international people.
Right. So just letting them know. So there's one more question, Nitin. It's about, while working on any UX problem, what are the basic steps that should be considered?
Sorry, could you come up again?
Right. Basic steps that you should consider while working on any UX problem.
Okay, so since we are making it very specific about UX,
right,
what UX need is a good understanding of user. You should always put your user in center. Do whatever research you want to do, but understand your user. To understand your user, you should interact with your user directly, or maybe you can have sessions or whatnot. You should prepare your questionnaire properly. You should set your goals, that what you want to understand from your user. What is the goal that you have? Whether you want to understand their emotions, whether you want to understand how they buy, whether you understand how frequently they buy. So always set your goal. When you go to users, always set your goal first. That's always important. Whenever, so specifically not just in UX, but any design that you do, always set a goal. First step, always set a goal, that what you want to accomplish or what you want to achieve. Second, once you are done with setting up your goal, do a basic research, do a secondary basic research, then understand the user, like very deeply. Understand the user in and out. Look their behavior pattern is so important. You should not just get into the user's shoe, but you should get into the user's brain as well, right? They always say that you should get into the user's shoes, and you should understand that, and you should think in that way, but get into the user's brain as well, right? Because if you understand their psyche, that how they buy, what they buy, and why they buy, again, that why is coming, right? Why they buy, if you understand that, then probably half the way you're there, right? Then it is really easy for you to define something, right? If I want to buy if I want to buy something, let's say there's someone who is getting married and he wants to buy clothes. So what is exactly he wants to buy? He wants to buy for an engagement. I mean, the whole ceremony, you need to understand the whole ceremony. He wants to buy for an engagement. He wants to buy for the wedding. He wants to buy for reception. He wants to buy for some other pre-wedding and post-wedding shoots. So all this comes, if you understand this psyche, then it's easy for you to define that information architecture and to define that visual design, to accomplish your goal. So your goal is what, in that sense, to design the experience for someone, for a user to buy the wedding, accessories or clothing or whatnot. So if your goal is very specific, you act accordingly, and always put your goal at center. What happens is, whenever we design, I mean, this is my personal experience. The reason I'm telling you all of these things is this used to happen to me. I never used to set up my goal, and that's why I used to randomly walk here and there whenever I used to research, and that never has an end. You always have to have a timeline, that in this time you should understand this much thing, and you never go beyond that. If you start going beyond that, you kind of lose your goal, lose your track, and then you come up with something else. This enough of doing comes there, like understand enough what is needed. When you have your objective in place, you understand things, and then you solve the problem. right? So that's the thing, that's a process. So UX has a process. Definitely in on the Google in market, you will see a lot of different things, that discover, dive, research, ideate, and all that stuff. But it's not a very linear process, it's a circular process, uh, I mean, they call it agile or whatnot, but it's a circular process. So when you do research, you kind of understand something, but then quickly do it very quickly, do it very quickly. So research something, understand something, then create your prototype around it, or create your design around it, or maybe paper prototype or something, and then go to the user, understand their perspective, understand how they use, understand what is the the usability testing, do that usability testing. Then when you understand that, come back, take the insights, come back, incorporate that, then develop your design. Okay, develop your design, again go, again do user testing, and then you can develop your product in that way. So it's a circular. Sometimes you might need to do a research, because there might be conflict in understanding the product, so you might need to do the research to improve any one of the feature in that sense. So I think that's the approach that you should take.
I personally have a question for you. So, how do you like cope up with all the ever-changing design trends that we have? Like, how do you decide that, okay, if I'm building something new, and like these days maybe glass morphism and 3D is into, right? It's into limelight. So, like, how do you cope up or keep yourself updated, even being in the industry for 6 years? How do you keep up with the design trends that are changing and try to build something fresh and new to every next product you work on?
See, in the market, in the last 6 years, what I have been working on, I've seen a lot of design trends and a lot of changes that has happened. But before that, there was also design moments which were happening, like brutalism, Bauhaus, and all that stuff. So it's not a new thing. So all these design things, that definitely every year there is something which is gonna, come new. But again, it's also a very important thing that whatever new design trend is your user familiar with it or not, or your user is able to cope up with that or not. So let's say if you want me to give you a simple example, so the reason I always say that put your user in right, left, center, everywhere, right, to understand your user. So let's say why Crade has the new type of UI, what we call it neomorphism, right? Why they have that is because their audience is like that. They want to give that a rich experience. They want to, because for them, interactions are more important than anything, because their audience is so higher. I mean, I would say they have a higher level of audience. The understanding of the audience with the app is different than regular users. In compared to that, if you ask the reason why Amazon has very specific colors, now they are moving to the branding part, and they are developing their aesthetics and all. But the way they started, because it was for a very common audience, it's still for a common audience, but that is why they have those kind of colors, those kind of interactions. Again, I'm saying, if you put, there is something called mental model, right? And if you change it, so as a user, or so consider yourself. So when you open your TV or when you open your computer, you see the first screen, which is enter your password, right? And then you open. But there might be a case that if you open your computer and then your screen is not opening, or maybe it's not booting, what would you feel? You would feel certainly very weird, right? Why? You will find it you won't find it good, because your system is not booting. You're not able to do operations. You're not able to use it, right? You're not able to do the work. You're not able to perform the task that you want to do. So what would you do is you get fumbled, right? And that is what that I mean, that will happen to the user if there are new trends, but if they are not able to cope up with it, there is a problem. And if you ask me, these trends are always coming from the outside. I mean, not always, but they are coming from outside, is because The outside audience, out of India audience, are they're coping up with the design trends very quickly, right? They want to change. They like changing, and that's why the branding agencies outside the India has more better design, what I say, language than it's not that what we don't have. Like in India, the audience is like that. We have a very diverse audience. You can't cater to everyone, right? So that is why for to get everyone on the same platform, you have to have something which is common in that. And that's why we don't use all the trends, but we use the trends. It's not that we don't, I mean, directly you don't see that, but we use the trends. Like you see the Apple interactions, the new OS that they have the glass morphism, but it's not very direct. The new Microsoft updates that they have glass morphism, but it's not direct, right? So it's always there. Trend is always there, but it's up to your user that whether they are able to cope up with it or
not. Right. So there's one more question. So how will AI and AI tools affecting on design field? Like how are AI and AI tools affecting on design field?
Well, AI is affecting everything. It's not just about design, it's affecting everything. But see, the way you think, probably not today. Machines are not thinking that way, because machine has an algorithm, right? It does some mathematics. It doesn't have brain, like, it doesn't have the neurons and it doesn't have the neuroplasticity. But right now, the way they are developing, they are able to come up with options. They are not generating ideas. They are able to come up with options because of machine learning, because they do some calculations, and that is the reason that they are able to do that. Like there are a lot of things which are happening. You can do paintings on AI. You can write essay on AI. So there are a lot of things which are happening. But the thing is, AI. I mean, this point. The AI is not able to think, which you can. As a human, you can think. You can process on it. You can understand rights and wrongs about it, pros and cons, do's and don'ts, which a machine can't. I'm not sure whether, down the line, 10 years later, whether if we develop an algorithm which gives an ability to a machine to define between right and wrong, they can do it. But they still have a pattern, right? A human brain doesn't have a pattern. You act according to the situation. You react to the situation. If there is a situation, there is a worse situation, you act accordingly. There is a good situation, you act accordingly, and you have the ability to understand that, which a machine doesn't have right now, because they use their pattern, right? They use their algorithm. But there might be a situation, if in case they develop that, they might be able to do that. But on AI, there are a lot of platforms which are running. There are a lot of things which are happening on AI, which is actually a good thing. I'm not sure whether if it's gonna take away all of the jobs, but it's a good thing, in fact, because as far as I concern and I understand, a human has developed the algorithm, a human has developed the machine, so he has the power to control it, right? So till the time we control that, I think we are in good place. But we need machines to do, to minimize the errors, because machine helps us to minimize the errors. I don't think it's wrong to have that. Anything else?
Yeah, if anyone has any more questions, although we just have 5 more minutes.
Like Behance, which are designer centric, and LinkedIn always.
So this is around the person who was asking a question that where can he hire and find UI UX designer when he has a great idea? So
what he's asking, sorry, are you talking about hiring?
Yeah, he was talking about hiring, that as a person with a great idea, how can I find a UI UX designer? And as in, where can he find?
Oh, there are a lot of platforms.
Right.
It's not really easy to find good
Yeah,
designers,
good
because
designers.
see, now because of internet, you have everywhere you have knowledge. Everyone can access, everyone can understand, everyone can process, but everyone is not having the same thinking process.
Hmm.
Everyone doesn't come with the best insights. So if you find a best designer, please don't lose, right? And to find a good designer, definitely you have to go through the process. You have to understand their thinking. You have to understand that whether what is the mission that they have for their life, whether they are just designing or they are carrying some mission with it. So, and there are a lot of platforms where you can find. There is LinkedIn, uh, there is Behance, there is AngelList, and lot of different platforms, hiring platforms, where you can get good UX designers. Well, guys, I would say I think this was really a good and nice experience to connect with all of you, and I think the questions were really nice. Uh,
Right. There
so,
was, I think, one last question from Afia, which we think we can take. So, which digital platforms can we choose to make as an online at home? That's what she's asking.
sorry, which digital platform
So
can
this is the same lady
online at?
who asked about how she can start as a housewife. So
Hmm.
she's saying that which what do you think which is the best platform to make money online? Like apart from Upwork and Fiverr, I have tried those. It can take months to get a project.
Hmm.
So what else can we do at home? And I tried doing typing translation, but I got rejected from any of the platforms.
Well,
So
I'm not here to talk about money, how to earn money. There are a lot of
right.
different things. If you just want to earn money, there are a lot of different things. You can talk to colleagues. On if you want to earn online, there are a lot of different platforms where you can go and you can put your profile. Unless your profile is very strong, you have very good reviews, you won't get work. But what I would say is work on yourself, be a
Hmm.
good designer, and then you will have a lot of things. People will come to you, they will ask you, they won't lose you. As I said, everyone is a designer. I mean, not everyone is a designer, but you have design thinking and everything, but not everyone thinks in the same way. So if you develop yourself, if you be a good designer, if you earn that thing, then probably you don't have to go on platform and think about making money. Because if you're passionate enough, then I don't think you should think about money. And if you just want to survive, there are a lot of platforms.
Right. So I think Nitin, it was great speaking to you and having you over here. I completely got a different perspective of design. So for me, it's always been solving problems and finding that the most optimized solution. But hearing your views and as in giving people that assurity that you just have to keep your goal in center and rest everything is will follow, even if it is while designing a product or chasing your dreams.
Right.
So I think that was a very insightful session. And guys, you can follow Nitin on LinkedIn for more such insightful conversations. And we would be more than happy to have you again for another workshop. Meanwhile, you can enroll in our upcoming workshops. It's posted in the chat section. And thank you, Nitin. Thank you, everyone. This was a
Thanks.
wonderful session.
Yes. If anyone still has doubt, or if they wants to understand anything, if they have any doubt about design, if they have any doubt about system thinking or UX design or anything, they can reach out to me on my LinkedIn platform. We can have a conversation. That's not an issue. And I wish you best luck, everyone. Do good in life, and don't forget the 11th principle, which is giving back, because I mean, that's how we should be.
I think the world runs on that.
Uh, cool.
Thanks a lot, Nitin.
I'll take you leave, guys.
Yeah. Bye
Thanks
bye.
a lot.